Hey everyone, Final here. Today, I'll be showing you my quick and easy paint scheme for the new Armageddon Warboss. These are the paints that I personally used on my Warboss and that I show in this video. Throughout the video, I'll make mention of some alternative Citadel paints that you can use if you want to change things up a bit. This one was a pretty tough model to build in sub-assemblies. The problem is that the arms and the head, which I would normally build separately, have a lot of skin attached to them. If I built those as sub-assemblies, there may end up being some unnatural seams that I really don't want. I did end up taking off the little dagger, and the backpack banner thing. I also have the base and one of the tactical rocks separate. Just note that half of the right foot is on this tactical rock. Anyway, let's get to it. I primed all of the models using Xandri dust. And then I start off with a nice base coat of WAAAGH flesh. I'm trying to be neat when I can, but it's only the first layer, so I'm not too concerned. Now, WAAAGH flesh is actually a really thin base paint, so I needed a second and even third coat in some spots. Now he's nice and green, but not quite the green that I want. I'm going to wash the skin using BL Tan Green, thinned down about 3:1 with Lamian Medium. I'm really just adding the Lamian Medium to improve flow and to avoid tide marks on the skin. If you don't have Lamian Medium handy, you could just go right out of the pot. Now that he's all washed up, I'll give it about an hour for the wash to dry. Now that the recesses are nice and shaded, I'll go and do my customary dry brushing. I'll be doing a heavy dry brush using a very fitting Warboss green. My goal is to start brightening up the skin while avoiding the recesses. Because the skin is so uneven, I'll end up with a nice gradient where the higher points are lighter and the lower points are darker. After I'm done with the Warboss green, I'll do a dry brush highlight on the very sharpest of points using Moot green. This step is optional, so you could stop after the Warboss green. That's a much better shade of green. Now I'll go in and paint his, shirt using Xandri dust. I've already primed the model with Xandri dust, so this is really just going in and fixing any green spots. Now before I do any washing, I'll go and paint the leather parts using Rhinox hide. So that would be the belt, the various straps, don't forget the ones on the backpack and the dagger, the wrist guards and glove, the pants, and the pouch. I'm using Rhinox hide for all of these just to keep it simple, but you can also add in Mournfang brown and or Doombowl brown to add a little bit of variation. With those parts done, I'll be washing all of the Rhinox hide and the Xandri dust using Agrax Earthshade, thinned down with Lamian Medium, about 3:1. Once the wash dries, everything is looking a little bit more worn in. Now I'm going to brighten the edges of the leather by dry brushing on Gorthor Brown. Another optional step, but if you want to brighten up the shirt as well, you can dry brush the edges and high points using Xandri dust. Next up, I'll be painting the boots using Corvus Black. Don't forget about the boot on the tactical rock. I'll also paint the banner using Corvus Black as well. Once I'm done with that, I'll wash all of the Corvus Black using Nuln Oil, thinned about 4:1 with Lamian Medium. The boots aren't too much of a problem, but try not to let it pool at the bottom of the banner. Once the wash dries, I'll be doing a dry brushing using Eshin Gray. Feel free to go as heavy or light as you like. The heavier you go, the more worn it'll look. I went pretty heavy with mine. And here's the result. I'll be using Abaddon Black for the various bits of armor. Feel free to swap that out with whatever faction color you might have. I'm also using Abaddon Black instead of Corvus Black to differentiate between the hard metal and the soft leather. Abaddon Black doesn't really need to be shaded, so I'll go straight to dry brushing it using Eshin Gray. I'll be using a moderate amount of pressure in order to really highlight the imperfections in the armor. Another optional step, but I'll also be dry brushing the edges using Dawnstone to really brighten it up. So far so good. Now I'll go in and paint the other bits of armor using Lead Belcher. I'll also use Lead Belcher on the small details and on the weapons. You can swap in Iron Warriors or Iron Hand Steel to get different gunmetal colors. While we have the Lead Belcher out, I'll also be using it on the banner pole as well as the dagger. I'll then go in with Mephiston Red and paint the backpack as well as the cable. And then I'll wash the metallic and the Mephiston Red using Nuln Oil thinned 4:1 with Lamian Medium. If you want a dirtier appearance, you can use Agrax Earthshade instead. Once again optional, but if you want to brighten up the edges on your metal, you can do a very light dry brush using Lead Belcher or even Stormhost Silver. We're in the final stretch. I'll be using Rackhearth Flesh for any bone, or teeth, or even the fingernails. I'll then be using Balthazar Gold to finish off the metallic details. Feel free to use Runelord Brass, Brass Scorpion, or any other metallic to make your Warboss pop. Once I'm done with the metallic, I'll be using Doombowl Brown on the remaining leather straps. One more color before I wash. I'll be painting the Tactical Rock using Mechanicus Standard Grey. I'll then wash all of the Rackhearth Flesh, Balthazar Gold, Doombowl Brown, and Mechanicus Standard Grey using Agrax Earthshade, thinned 3:1 with Lamian Medium. Once the wash dries, I'll be doing a light dry brush using Rackhearth Flesh on the bone. And once again optional, but if you want to brighten up your Balthazar Gold, you can dry brush the edges using some more Balthazar Gold, or something brighter like Canoptic Alloy. To wrap up the dry brushing, I'll dry brush the Tactical Rocks using Dawnstone. Just a couple more details and we'll be all done. For the fur, I'll be using Gore-Gruntha Fur Contrast Paint. I believe that the box art model uses Agrax Earthshade, but I wanted to differentiate the fur from the backpack straps. For the head, I'll very carefully paint the tongue using Volupus Pink. I'll then very carefully paint the eye using Blood Angels Red. And here's the result for the face. I did also paint the eye patch that I missed using Doombowl Brown. For the Space Marine helmet, I'll be painting mine up as a Blood Angel using Mephiston Red, Lead Belcher, Corvus Black, and Nuln Oil, once again thinned using Lamian Medium. Nice and simple, but of course you can also paint it however you like. And that's it for the banner backpack, dagger, Tactical Rock, and of course the rest of the Warboss. Now I'll do my usual assembly and basing magic, with the net result being one Armageddon Warboss. I had a really great time painting up this model. It was hard at some points because the arm with the gun drapes over the body. I tried my best to match the box art while also keeping it simple, but honestly, there's really no wrong way to paint orks. If you just picked up your own Warboss in the Armageddon launch box, or in one of the starter sets, I hope that I was able to help you out. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.